Cool. There we go. All right, muted.
Please like, subscribe, and be sure to click that bell button for regular and exciting indie film content and your chance to be the first to engage with the Liftoff Global Network of Film Festivals as we embark on launching the careers of the filmmakers of tomorrow.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's stream. Today we are joined by 4 filmmakers who won the Sydney Audience Choice Award. So welcome Aaron, Ariel, Muhammad and Ildiko. Aaron, why don't we start with you? Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what your project was?
Yeah, so I'm Aaron Falvey. I'm from New Zealand. I'm a director and producer, and my film was Rock Bottom.
Nice, thank you. And we will be starting with Rock Bottom. So for those that are watching live, that is the film that we will be starting with. And the chat room is open, so you can ask our filmmakers any questions as we move forward in today's stream. Ariel, are you there? And are you able to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello everyone. So my name is Ariel. I'm from Israel, and I produced and wrote Dangerous Silence.
Amazing. I look forward to sharing this film with everyone as well. Muhammad, what is your project?
Hello everyone, my name is Muhammad Suaib. I'm from Indonesia. I'm a director and producer. My project is a pair of shoes for our teacher. Okay, thank you.
Amazing. And as you know, with everyone's film here, when we were doing the roundups every Friday for how the festival was doing, your films were constantly in the lead. So I think a lot of people who may be watching today have watched your films. And finally, we have Ildiko. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us your film?
Hi, my name is Ildiko Susany. My film is called Marley Someone. I'm from Australia, but I'm based in Canada now.
Amazing. And with all of you here, you've had lots of roles across the projects, including writing, directing, performing, and producing. So it'll be interesting to hear how all of your experiences have been over the course of making your films. We are going to start with Aaron's film. So Aaron, why don't you start telling us a little bit more about the inspiration as I get your film programmed this side?
Yeah, sure. So Rock Bottom sort of came from an idea I'd had while I was shooting another film, actually. I've always liked combat sports, and I thought it'd be quite good to look at the detrimental effects of, head traumas, brain damage, that sort of thing, playing on that, what can happen to people who have, sustained a significant amount of injuries. So I decided to write a short concept for a feature. So I kind of got a bigger picture in mind when I decided to make this. So this is a concept piece. And it's about an aging boxer who sort of refuses to quit. And he has an honest conversation with his coach and trainer, but he has to see whether he can be talked into not fighting by the end of it. So I'll explain a little bit more. I'm not sure whether to reveal stuff yet. So I can do that as you ask questions, if you like.
I just want to remark on something that you mentioned there, which is that this is used as a proof of concept. So you're hoping to develop this into a feature. What stage are you at?
Oh, literally, I haven't done much more because I'm busy with quite a few other projects at the moment as well. Okay, cool. But I have started to write, I guess, a treatment for it. Probably about halfway through, maybe. But it's on hold. I'm really happy with how the film's come out. It's had some success, which has been good. So yeah, it's just kind of a wait and see at the moment.
Amazing. There's a story I want to tell you a little bit later about another film that is similar to yours in the way that it's made. But let's find out more about your project first, and then we'll loop back to that in a bit. So continue. Actually, as I've kind of stopped you, there are a few questions I have. One is the location. Where did you find this? Is it a gym? Is it at someone's house that you've converted into the gym? What is the location?
So the location for this film was a studio. We have a local studio that had literally was just getting set up, our first sort of studio in Marlborough in New Zealand. So we actually built this set. It's all from scratch. So it's set in a just 4 walls that were all removable. So it was the first time sort of building building a set of this sort of style, yeah, it was good. It took us a few weeks to build.
Nice. And I guess that leads into my next question about rehearsal, because we haven't explained that this is a one-take film yet. And could you tell us a little bit more about why you decided to shoot it in a one-take style?
Yeah, sure. I've always liked the challenge of doing one-take films or single-take films. It's not the first time I've tried it. It's actually the second time I've done it now. I quite like the idea or the concept of planning long scenes, because I feel like they're quite impressive, and it was kind of inspired by Children of Men had Clive Owen, and there's a couple of really long takes in that obviously required a huge amount of choreography and rehearsal to get it right. So that was kind of the main reason for me. I just wanted to give myself a challenge. The idea itself is not complicated, I don't think, for the film. And I think it helps doing it one take, because it helps pay off the twist at the end as well.
Yeah, nice. No, I agree. And one of the questions I had was about rehearsal. And you said that you had that location for a couple of weeks, which I guess was to dress it and turn it into the space that you wanted. But with a one-take film, it's super important that you have the space that you can rehearse in as well. So how many days rehearsal did you have to get up the choreography with the actors and also with the DOP to make sure that everything aligned and was doable?
Yeah, so we all the actors that I work with came from out of town. So we did Zoom sessions. We did 2 Zoom sessions for a few hours, just going through the script and then building it. That was quite complicated, as you can imagine, because there was delays and people were like coming in over top of each other with their lines and that sort of thing. But we managed to get it done, and then we decided to shoot it over a weekend. So we spent the Saturday going through rehearsing it, and then bringing in the DP towards the sort of end of that first day, because we spent a solid day doing rehearsals. Yeah. And then on the actual day, on the Sunday, we got in with the camera. We had all the lights set up on the Saturday and stuff as well. Had all the sound where the sound guy was going to go. He ended up standing on the roof, which was kind of an unusual place, but it allowed him to kind of work his way around the whole set, because there's a little bit of movement in there as well, where they go back and forth between the locker and the changing room sort of thing. So, or the bathroom. We ended up doing 7 takes for the film, and we ended up using, I think it was take 5. I actually liked another one better, but it was ruined by plane noise, because we have an airfield not far from where we are. Yeah. So I decided, rather than try and fix that in post-production, just to go with one of the other takes, because I felt it was more genuine, not having to get someone back to do ADR and that sort of thing as well. Absolutely.
And my side, the credits are just rolling, so I'm just going to change the screen back so we can see all of us a bit bigger. That's so frustrating, but well done to you for making that decision, especially when your heart's like, I loved this version, but then you decided to go with that. And if you look at it on a bigger scale, no one else knows what that version is, especially the audience. So yes, I reckon that was the right choice, instead of trying to play around, trying to get those air sounds or aeroplane sounds away. You talked a little bit there about dialogue and the actors talking over the top of each other, because shooting in a one take style for me often feels like theatre. And I was wondering, was everything scripted, or was there a lot of room for improvisation?
So Rock Bottom's actually the first script I've ever written. Okay. So that was a challenge, I guess. I'm not precious when it comes to scripts, that sort of thing, making sure that people are saying words verbatim. Yeah. I would rather that my actors were comfortable using words that they would use, as long as it carries the story in the same way that I want it to go. There was a bit of give and take there, and I was quite open to making changes where possible, and the actors always do make good suggestions at times, and I'm very open to, like I say, to changing things, and I think the end result sort of speaks for itself there. But it was definitely great, and it was very gratifying for me to finally, I guess, write my own script and see those words come to life, not directing somebody else's projects.
Yeah, no, 100%. and it's a really strong film. And I think now that I know that you're going to use this as a proof of concept, I think you're going to go far with getting different people on board with us, another producer, financiers, or a production company. I think you have a strong piece where it visually shows what you're trying to achieve. So well done with that. Great. Something I'm going to ask everyone, and I really enjoy asking this question, is what hurdles did you have to overcome in your production, whether it was the shoot, post-production, pre-production, in order to get the project where it is today? Is there a particular story that you can share with us, that something that you had to overcome or unforeseen?
I think it all actually went quite smoothly, which I found quite ironic because I was expecting a lot of issues, but I guess this isn't my first rodeo. You know, I've done a few films before. I think this is like my 20th, maybe. But so yeah, I kind of did quite a lot of preparation to make sure that we didn't have any issues. I guess for me, I think maybe my biggest gripe was making sure that the boxes or the actors looked like legitimate boxers for people that know what boxing's like. So I actually did get a trainer in to coach them, and I think that helped a lot. That was probably maybe the hardest part, and probably writing it as well. I mean, editing was no headache because it's one take. Yeah, I mean, probably the choreography, I guess, making sure that would probably be the other hard thing. I've never actually looked back or reflected on it, so it's yeah. Nice. I think probably the choreography.
Okay.
As well.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. And you mentioned there that this is maybe the 20th project you've been involved with.
Yeah.
Yeah. What inspired you to get into the film industry in the first place?
I think, like most people, it's watching films. I still remember as a youngster loving films and just wanting to know how they were made. So anytime I sort of saw a featurette on screen or on TV, I'd be keen to see what was happening behind the set. So I was always inspired by people like Steven Spielberg as a kid. Nice. So many classic films, and it was just like, man, I want to be a film producer when I get older. And I'm kind of doing that now, but sort of directing is sort of more my forte now. But that was when I was 9 years old. I still remember saying to myself, I'm going to be a film producer when I get older.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, then, what's your favorite film?
I knew you were going to ask me that.
I know.
I'm one of those people where I can't pick favorites for whatever reason, just because there's so many variables. I'd rather maybe, I can't answer that.
No, fair enough.
I'm quite fussy with films, but I guess one of my main there's a certain genre of film I like. I like survival films where people are fighting for their life. I find those sort of films very intriguing, where they have like this internal struggle that they have to try and get through, and there's all these obstacles they've got to overcome. I've always liked that concept, and those are the sort of films that I'd watch over anything else.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah.
And then my final question before we move on then to Ildiko's film is, what is next for you apart from trying to make this into a feature? Mm-hmm. Are you working on any other projects right now?
Yeah, well, I have actually, my first feature film is releasing in America this year. Got sold to Lionsgate. So
what? That's huge.
Yeah, so got a film coming out called, in the States, it's called Battle Cabin, but in New Zealand and everywhere else in the world, it's called North Spur. So for whatever reason, we got a deal where our distributors wanted to change the name in the States and North America. So expect it to come out somewhere probably in the next 3 months. We're just waiting for the release date to come. So yeah, that happened. That took 5 years, and
that sounds about right. Yep.
Yeah. And that was all funded through private investment. So wasn't a self-funded or an Indiegogo film. It was all private investment. So that was quite an achievement for us. That's an action film.
Nice.
Shot in New Zealand. It's got a Kiwiana theme, we call it, which is a New Zealand theme. And we're working on our next feature film at the moment. So we've got another one coming out We're looking to shoot somewhere in October, November at the moment. We're just going through sort of development work with that at the moment, going through financing, and that's called Red Zone 6. So that's a thriller about human microchipping.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
So you have lots going on, and congratulations on the project you just mentioned. What was it called? North
Spur, one word.
North Spur.
So
got it.
Yep. You can look me up on. It's all on my IMDb or.
Perfect.
Yeah, the trailer for North Spur on YouTube as well.
Perfect. And then before we move on, there's a few comments in the chat room by a guy called Jay. He says, "Hi everyone, congratulations to you all for getting this far. Rock Bottom is a masterpiece. Congratulations, Aaron and the team, for such an amazing work of art." Thank you, Jay, for sharing those comments. We're now going to move on to Ildiko. And why don't you start by telling us a little bit about the inspiration behind the film. But before you do, for our other participants on the call, if you aren't speaking, could you please mute your microphones, as there's a little bit of feedback coming on. So, Ildiko, take it away. Tell us the inspiration behind your project.
Yeah, so, Marley Someone is my debut feature film. It's semi-autobiographical. So, at the time I was living in Sydney, working as an actor. I was kind of having my big break in theater. But at the time, I was just thinking about, the industry wasn't super diverse at the time. There wasn't a lot of great representation and like authentic storytelling. So I kind of wanted to tell a story that that kind of focused on those issues and that exploration of representation and identity.
Nice. And when I was looking up your film, I knew you were the director and the writer behind it and obviously in it, but I didn't realize that you also produced it. So you literally wore all of the big role hats during this production. How did you find that experience?
It was very challenging, a lot of sleepless nights.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would do it again, all of the roles in one film, but it was also really rewarding at the end of it. It was great to kind of, it was a very personal film to me, so kind of having that creative control was really great. I was also really lucky to have just a really amazing cast who were very collaborative and a really great crew. We had a very skeleton crew. We did everything kind of no budget, guerrilla style. So it was just awesome having like a really good team who had, really great technical skills and also like were really creative and willing to kind of work hard and fast.
I wanted to ask you about your casting. Obviously, as one of the actors in the lead role during the film, it's often that you bring your friends into the production. So I wanted to know if you were working or acting alongside people that you'd worked with in the past, or if you took this project into the casting room and got fresh actors or unknown actors into the project.
Yeah, so because I was working as an actor in Sydney, mostly in theatre, I had a lot of theatre actor connections. And I think as I was writing it, I just couldn't help but be sort of casting it in my mind. So I kind of knew a lot of really great actors who would just be perfect for these roles. Weirdly, the hardest one to cast was Sloane, who was the best friend. And yeah, I just really I wrote this character. It was kind of, I was always pulling from multiple people to sort of create these characters. And Sloane was just the hardest one to cast. And then I was helping to produce a Women in Theatre festival. And saw one of the actors and I was like, of course, she would be perfect. I kind of knew her, but not super well. And, one of the biggest feedbacks we get that in the film is that, the friendship just seems so solid and so real. Are you guys best friends in real life? And I have to be like, no, but, we get along really well. So.
And leading on from that then, the chemistry across the film is great. Did you do much rehearsal with this, considering you were directing it, producing it, and you wrote it as well? Did that leave time for you to rehearse with the actors as much as you would have liked to?
Yeah, I think, all of the actors basically had a strong theater background, which was really great. And I found that very useful. And, I had a kind of a mentor that I reached out to who has a production company. And he said to us, because we're so no budget, we have to work really quickly. We shot, a feature film in 15 or 16 days. I thought that rehearsals were really important so that we could shoot everything in, 1 or 2 takes and then move on. I didn't even have time to look at most of the takes. I just trusted it in the moment, and trusted my DP to make sure that, picture wise or sound wise, everything was good on their end.
So did you have a first AD?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. I'm glad to hear that. And
I think our first AD was kind of our first AD, second AD, third AD. So.
Yeah, multiple rolled AD, definitely. And something that we tell a lot of our first-time filmmakers or people that are, first-time filmmakers, is that it's the most important relationship to have with your DP, someone who has your vision as well. So when you just said that you trusted your DP with a lot of the shots, it just made me go like, oh, good. Because we hear it's not horror stories, but it's mistakes a lot of first-time filmmakers make. They have this vision of what they thought the film was going to look like versus what they came out with. So I'm really glad to hear that you had a DP and a strong relationship that you could fully trust in order to get those shots that you were looking for.
Yeah, and I think that's why communication is really important, and just having that rapport and trusting the collaborative process. Because I think, for me at the time, I was very inspired by the mumblecore movement. And so, I kind of wrote this in a way where it didn't have to be 100% visually, slick or really high production values. Like we could, as long as the acting was there, as long as the story was being told, I think we could do it on, on a shoestring budget and get the shots that we needed without it having to be like, sweeping crane shots and everything like that.
Do you mind sharing what your budget was?
We shot it for 20,000 Australian.
Oh wow!
That's
so
incredible.
So that's about £12,000, maybe slightly less than that. That is really well done. Yeah, well done. And you said that
that's kudos to the team, honestly. Like just everyone really just believing in the project and putting their best work into it.
Yeah, amazing. And you said that you shot it over 15 days. That must have been
intense. I think 15 or 16, yeah.
How was that? How was that process for you, apart from being incredibly busy and intense?
Yeah, I definitely had a lot of nightmares where I'd be waking up stressed. But I think, we had a really good kind of production manager, AD, in Gemma Nichols, who really kind of broke down the schedule really well. And then Benjamin Powell, our DP, worked with me. He had really great shots. I was, I think, I'm not as technical with the camera. So it was really about, what my vision was more like aesthetically and creatively. Yeah. And then he made sure that all worked on a technical level.
What would you say was your biggest learning curve whilst creating this feature?
Everything, basically.
Okay.
I think, I feel like every step of the way I was trying to, get this process done as I was trying to learn and make sure I was ready for the next process. So it's like, writing and structure and just making sure that was strong. I was good with, rehearsing with the actors, coming from an acting background and directing in theater. I feel like I can, direct actors and direct story, but it was a new learning curve kind of moving more into the cinematic industry. And so that was a learning curve. Then post-production, at the time I was also moving to Canada. So there was a lot going on.
Yeah. I guess a couple more technical questions. What was the camera that you shot on?
We used a Blackmagic Ursa Mini.
Okay, nice. And watching the film, we can see that the auditions are all in color and then real life is in black and white. What was the idea or the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, there were two things behind that for me. Was one, the titular character, Marley, she doesn't really realize that she's kind of floating through life. She's a bit depressed. Life's a little bit bleak. It's not going out how she wanted it to be. But the times when she feels kind of alive is when she's doing these auditions or she's performing or she's being creative. And so even though those auditions were kind of a bit like stereotypical, Asian roles, she was still kind of that spark within her was alive. And I think that's why we kind of bookend it with the color as well, because when, spoiler alert, when she kind of goes off on her own and she has her own drive and she's more secure in herself, her world kind of comes back into color. So that was the main reason.
Nice.
And then the other reason was because we're looking at, you know, cultural identity and racism and representation. I just wanted to kind of strip back, you know, everyone's kind of skin color and just have the performers there and kind of, you know, tell that story sort of visually as well.
Nice. How has this film been doing on the festival circuit?
It's been doing okay. I think, you know, we're really grateful to the Sydney Liftoff Film Festival. I think it was, we had a really great run with that. We got a lot of support, and we're just really happy to be the audience choice winners.
Nice. Great. What is next for you? Are you looking to make another film? Are you acting a lot at the moment? What are you working on right now?
Yeah, I'm acting a little bit in television. I also just wrote a script for a Netflix series, and we shot that late last year.
Oh, nice.
I got to be on set for my episode, so that was awesome. And we're hoping that we come back, you know, next season. And then I'm working on a couple of pilots myself, and also a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Hey,
so we'll see how that
goes. It's interesting when we go to the film markets, whether it's the Marché du Film or the American film market or Berlinale, when we sit down and talk to the sales agents, it's always the question is, what are you currently looking for? And in response, family-friendly content is like super high up on the list. If you can combine that with something like Christmas, it goes up even more. So have you already started to speak to sales agents and distributors around that concept?
Not at this point. I'm talking to an executive producer that works a lot with, you know, with Hallmark and a lot of these kinds of films. So I'm just sort of trying to get kind of like a one-page pitch together, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Amazing. Sounds great. And then I guess I have to ask you the same questions as I asked Aaron. What is your favorite film?
I think one of my favorite films, which really inspired this, was Frances Ha. Greta Gerwig, Noah Baumbach. I think, you know, I started writing this and I was telling my friends about it at the time, and they're like, have you seen Frances Ha? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch that movie. And then I immediately watched it again. So that was a big one for me. And then I think at the moment I really like Get Out, Minari, and Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I literally left the cinema thinking I had ADHD after watching that film. So yeah.
It's a lot. It is literally Everything Everywhere All at Once.
It's very bold. It's very bold. Yeah. But yeah, it was a fantastic film. Great. And I guess what inspired you to get into the industry? Was it acting first and then you fell into the other side? Or have you always had an artistic flair?
Yeah, I think I've always been interested in art, writing, performing, you know, everything creative from a very young age. But I did start as an actor in theater, and then felt like, you know, to continue my career and for longevity in my career, I wanted to move more into film and television as well. And so that's where I'm at the moment.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. I am going to pause your film, and then we will be moving on to Muhammad, your film. Okay, there we go. Whoop. There we go. Great. If anyone is watching and you have any questions for Ildiko and her film, please do put them in the chat room and we'll share those as the stream moves forward. Thank you so much. Aaron, do you have any questions for Ildiko, or Muhammad, do you have any questions for Ildiko and what she's just mentioned?
I'm just interested why you decided to move to Canada. Was it just the opportunities or was there something else behind that?
Yeah, it was for me, the idea was that, you know, there's a really booming industry here. I'm in Vancouver. It's a great backdoor into Hollywood as well. So yeah, it's just, for me, it just felt like a bigger industry. There was a lot more going on, a lot more projects. So I just thought I'd give it a shot, and I haven't left yet.
Amazing.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I've heard great things about Vancouver. It's where Film Freeway is based as well, so it's a great city for film. Great. Thank you. Okay, cool. So, Mohammed, we're going to move on to your film. Are you with us? Are you visible? Mohammed, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm going to start playing your film. So would you mind reminding everyone what the title is and what your role was, followed by the inspiration?
Okay. This movie project was based on concern about the case of the corruption that are damaging many parties, including country, and that it can be experienced not only for Indonesia, not only in Indonesia but around the world. But in fact, this corruption start with the simple things of our everyday environment, and it can become a habit in the future until we feel that it's just common things when it fall into the category of corruption. We feel that this corruption case is good enough to the throughout as a frame of a movie project, because the movie is a one effective media to give public now that many simple things around the world around of us are potentially to be a case of corruption that could damage the other side.
Nice.
And for writing, yes.
And for the writing?
For writing, the script, first I got the idea and create early this movie premise in 2017.
Okay.
But because my profession is really my pure as a teachers, I'm not, my background is not movie school. My main activity and every day is teachers, and my my background is science education, and my major is mathematics.
Wow.
So my background my background was not movie school, sorry, but the various exercise of the seven or eight discipline and movie making, like scenario, the direct artistic, cinematography, sound management, production. Everything I got in some workshop and online, and every
So with this in
yeah.
mind, what is this your first film, second film, third film?
This is my second film.
Okay, great.
My second film. My first film is Uniform, because I can so near in my profession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. And exactly. So they say write what you know. So you've done exactly that, which is great. Again, as we spoke about with Ildiko's film and Aaron's film, we talked about the casting. And I wanted to know how you found these amazing young actresses to be in your film.
For all this movie, yes, they are my student. Purely,
Oh, okay.
my student. Yes,
Nice.
that's my student, and all this film crew, my student too. And for the main character and this, I got this the talented this with my friends teachers,
Mm-hmm.
and the pre-production stage must not go. We must go touch before we start the production process. Because my crew is my student, as they not could make apa.
I think
I also give them brief. I also give them a brief how to use the tools
yeah.
when yeah, and how to use it maximally. Because my crew, its average age is 14 and 15 years old, and And yeah, sometimes they make small mistakes, but sometimes they fatality too. But I believe that it will be a lesson for them that they will never forget in their life with
Absolutely.
these movie projects.
I mean,
If they
hearing that,
if they want to a good result, they have to try to focus on film process.
I think hearing that this film was made as a collective with students and the actors as well,
Yeah.
obviously being your students, what an
Yeah.
opportunity for the younger generation to get involved and discover this industry. So I think having that is an amazing opportunity, like you said, and something that you would hope that they never forget. So it's really, thank you for sharing that story. Looking over my notes, I wanted to talk about the sound design on the piece as well. Obviously, our audience cannot hear the music that you've chosen to have as a score of the film. But for me, and if anyone else has seen the film with sound, why did you choose, or how did you choose the score?
For the score, I think the mood of every scene in this film, because I cannot make the score purely because I'm learning about the I'm learning the sound is not about the sound engineering. My background is now, but uh, purely every sound my friends make it, not me. I don't know say how about this because I just directing artistic and cinematography just it, but sound I'm not.
Well, I
And
think your
yeah,
friends did a great job in
yes,
emphasizing moments
yes,
through the music. So you can
yeah,
pass that on to them that they did a really good job. Um,
yeah,
so this being your second short film, what are you working on
yeah.
now?
Next project, uh, my movie was about little purely not near my profession. Yeah, just
Okay, so you're
the
stepping
main
away
character,
from teaching.
the main character is two or three girls, and this is like a superhero in in the school. They have three um, uh, about this mathematics, physically, and what is one, uh, mathematics, chemical and biology,
Okay,
and they
nice.
like a superhero in the school. I now is my script not final draft, but I'm surely next year it can be good things.
And with them, as we can see, this is also shot in a school. I'm taking it is your school that this was shot in.
Yeah, yeah,
Will you also be shooting this next film in the same school?
yeah,
Great.
sure.
So you can save so much money by doing that. That's amazing. And I guess my final couple of questions are, we now know that you are a teacher and that is your profession full time, but obviously with a
Yeah.
huge interest in filmmaking as a side job or as a hobby, what inspired you to make films? Why did you want to start making films?
First movie I saw the Raid, the Raid.
The Raid? Okay, love that film. Oh no.
Gareth Evans. Yes, from Indonesia. The first movie I guess I think. So every cinematography in my film was behind them. I think it's the Raid is a good movie every time.
It
We
is a great film.
Yeah, it's a great film.
So The Raid inspired you to get into filmmaking, and I'm not surprised. My background is in acting and stage fighting, and
Yeah.
at university we had to study The Raid just because of the long sequences and the fight scenes
Oh yeah.
that are within that film. So I can
The
understand.
choreography was very good.
Amazing. Has anyone else seen The Raid on the call?
Yeah. The right 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
There are 3 now.
Aaron has. Okay, cool, great. I would definitely add it to your list just as an experience to watch.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Muhammad, thank you so much for sharing your story, and I look forward to seeing what you do next. And please do stay in touch with the superhero concept that you have coming up. We are now going to.
Very humble and excited to be here. I just want to say thank you so much for Lift Off Global Networks and partners.
Thank
for
you.
all the audience who are choosing our simple works. Hopefully you'll enjoy this movie. For all crew and my student, I think it's an amazing journey for us because this is the first time we can get the best part of International Film Festival.
Yeah.
So many weakness in this movie, but hopefully next project we can make it better and better.
It's interesting because obviously you've picked up the award for audience choice, so you had a lot of audience enjoying your film. But when I cross-referenced what the jury had said about your film, there were some really great comments in there. So please do continue filmmaking and improving with each film.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No worries. Okay, cool. We are now moving on to the final film. Ariel, tell us a little bit more about your project, the inspiration behind the piece, and because it's been a little while since we did the introduction, if you could just reintroduce your film and your role as well. I will get it programmed our side.
Okay, so I was the producer and the screenwriter of this film. What inspired me to make this film? It's about a true story about a tragic story of a Nigerian young girl in Africa, and I met her, a year ago, and we had a conversation about the life, and she shared with me her story and her lifestyle in Africa.
Yeah.
And that inspired me to write a film and to shoot it in Africa. Even I'm living in Israel, and it was challenging, but it was an amazing process for us.
Nice. So this was shot in Nigeria.
Yeah. The film shot in Nigeria, and all the crew, apart from me, are from the Nigerian film industry. This is not the first time I did it. I produced films in the US, Mexico, Canada, Dubai, and Israel before, and it was the first time in Africa. And so it was the most challenging process from all my films. Yeah.
The Nigerian film network is massive, isn't it? Bollywood, Nollywood, and then
Nollywood. Yeah,
Nollywood.
Nollywood,
it's huge. They have very interesting style of filmmaking in Nigeria, and we've seen quite a few come through the Liftoff platform in the past. But you mentioned there that you've shot basically all around the world, and you're the only team member from Israel, so you always work with local filmmakers. How do you find these people? How do you start the project?
How I find it?
Sorry, 1 second. Mohammed, could you please mute your microphone?
Coming from an acting background.
There you go. Perfect. Sorry, there was a lot of reverb coming back then.
Yeah. So,
okay.
So regarding the process of finding crew, of course, I'm starting from Israel, I'm starting through social media. I'm exploring what the best agency is.
Oh no. I got social media and I got exploring agencies, but you have frozen on us.
Each country, if I'm going to. there are a few groups of on Facebook that related to Nollywood film industry.
Yeah.
And I found there a director. His name is Adienka Edetoy, the director of
the
this
director.
film.
Yes.
And he has many connections in the Nollywood film industry. So I had the luck, and together we created this amazing film. This film, by the way, won so far 10 awards all over the world. In LA, most of the festivals are in LA, and we got a nomination in one of the biggest film festivals in Nigeria, Abuja International Film Festival as well.
Amazing!
So,
Congratulations. That was going to be one of my questions, because I saw when I've seen the film a few times, but I was looking over Film Freeway today, and I saw the list of all the film festival selections that you've been involved with, and it is really, really well done to you. Essentially, it's great.
Thank you.
What was the most challenging part about shooting this film, apart from obviously coming from Israel and building your network? Were there any technical issues that you had to overcome during the shoot? Was it working with the actors? What would you say was something that you had to resolve or overcome in order to get the project to where it is today?
Of course, the most challenging thing is, first of all, to deal with a new culture. You know, it's very different, the Israeli culture from the African culture. It's very different. It's totally different, and you have to deal with that. But like any other film I did before, I know how to get along with a new culture, and you know, it's even a little thing. For example, how English is very different in Nigeria from the US, for example, regarding the accent, regarding the everything is different, you know, and it was a difficult process, you know, first of all to understand the culture, but when I did it, everything was very easy. Thanks to the amazing director, Adienka, that helped me a lot in this process.
Yeah, nice. And the cinematography within this project is great as well. So who was your DP and what camera did you shoot on?
So Adienka was the director and
he DP'd as well? Great.
Yeah. He's amazing. He can do everything, you know. This guy is a phenomenal filmmaker, you know. He knows everything about cinematography, sound, editing. He knows many things, so it was easy for me. It was easier for me because he did on the directing stuff, the cinematography stuff, and the editing as well. So it was easier for me because of him.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And again, a comment that I've written down is the sound design. The score on this as well is fantastic. Were you behind that, or did you have someone come in to do the sound?
So one of the actors, Ortega, he did the music as well. He's a musician.
Amazing.
He's a musician, so he composed this original music. We combined between African music to the worldwide music. So it was it created an amazing and special music for this film. Yeah,
within moments I was like trapped in the sound. I was like, what is going on here? This is really good. So yeah, fantastic. And obviously you've worked on lots of different projects. You've mentioned that you've shot all over the world. Why did you want to get into the film industry? Was there a particular film that inspired you, or did you just always know that this was what you wanted to do?
Well, I started my way basically as an actor, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
I studied acting at Lee Strasberg Acting School in LA.
Yeah, I know it. Nice.
Yeah. And then afterwards, the Corona started. And I understood that if I want to, you know, to succeed in this industry, I have to expand my abilities and not just to be dependent on auditions and on others, you know, just to be dependent on myself.
Yeah.
And so I decided to produce myself my films. I studied before, by the way, screenwriting as well in the UK. in a few courses in a few universities in the UK.
Great.
And then, so, and I just decided to produce myself my films. And I didn't know that I will win many awards all over the world. I didn't know, and it's very surprising, all this process last year's in the film, what's going on with me in the film industry. I didn't know that I will be a producer. I didn't plan to be a producer. My first dream was acting. So yeah.
And
so,
are you still acting?
Now I'm focused on producing and screenwriting, but I plan to come back, of course, to the acting as well. Now I have all the abilities to produce myself my films and
exactly.
to write this and to add the best actors for this project and to write for myself the roles. So yeah.
Wonderful. Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. If you're an actor and you understand that you have to do more, whether that's producing or directing or writing, you'll go a lot further in this industry than just waiting for the phone to ring. That is 100% true, and I'm sure others on this call know this as well. Great. So my final couple of questions are, what are your favorite film and what is next for you? So what is your favorite film? Oh no.
The Pirates of the Caribbean. It's
nice.
Because of Johnny Depp. Yeah, I admire Johnny Depp. I love this actor. He's phenomenal, and that's the reason I'm choosing this film. But I love a lot. Yeah, so I don't have just one film. And regarding next project.
Yeah, for yourself.
Yeah. So I have few. But the most important is the film I produced in Israel in English. It's in English language, and the name of this film is Unicorns and Rainbows, and it's a dramatic film, and it's gonna be released in the end of January. So it will be very soon in many festivals all over the world, I guess.
So you've got an exciting year ahead of you. I hope that it has just as much success as the film that we've just seen, Dangerous Silence. And that is us coming to the end of today's call. Feel free to stay on as I close the stream down. If anyone is watching and has any final questions, now is your opportunity to ask our filmmakers. And I just want to say to all of you, thank you so much for jumping on today's call. I know the time zones were crazy, so thank you again for spending time with us, and good luck with everything that you're working on moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.